When I was 18 years old, I ended up having my first boyfriend. His name was James, and I felt like I struck gold with him. He was 19, sweet, tall, and slender, eyes like sapphires. I was also his first girlfriend, as he was adorably shy. We hit it off very quickly, becoming official by maybe the third day after meeting. I honestly thought I was in love with him. The only problem was his mother. Her name was Debbie. She was 42 and widowed for several years. As James was an only child, she seemed overprotective of him. A month after our relationship began, the weird stuff began. One day, James and I were hanging out together after classes when I heard someone impatiently honking their car's horn. I looked behind us and I saw Debbie seated in the car. She was honking her horn, giving me a strange look. It was a look of suspicion and a bit of hate. She honked once again, and it was hard. She waved an arm like she was telling James, "Let's go." Suddenly, James stood up and said, "I'm sorry, babe, but my mom's here. I'll see you later." He rushed over, practically jumping into her car. I could hear her shouting, "Jimmy, who the hell is that girl? Your girlfriend or something?" His response made me feel uneasy. "Yes, she is, but don't worry. You're my number one, mommy." They drove away, leaving me wondering what to think. I still loved James and wanted our relationship to work, but over the days and weeks that followed, the weird stuff continued. Eventually stopped hanging out between classes because his mother might need him. I tolerated this, but I was uncomfortable by his own devotion to his mother. One time I asked him if we could have a date somewhere else. His response was, "If we do go out, mom's gotta go with us." I confronted him about that once, and we had a big fight. He said he was all she had, and he was unwilling to separate from her. I reminded him that I was his girlfriend and needed time with him too. A couple days later, we made up and, things improved. But 6 months after that, the worst occurred. On the school bleachers, we sat together, kissing and cuddling, holding each other. I whispered into his ear that I love him, and I'll never forget his response in my ear, "I love you too, Debbie." I pretty much threw him away from me in shock and disgust. He said his mother's name, not mine. Grossed out, I stood up, shouting, and I asked him, "What the hell is wrong with you? You said your mother's name." He honestly looked very embarrassed, but his response was the last straw. "Oh my God, baby. I'm sorry, but you're a way better kisser than my mother." I had enough and I began to turn and walk around the bleachers. At the bottom row, I heard him plead, "Baby, please, I love you." I glanced at him, snarled, and I flipped him off. I continued walking away, never looking back. I never saw James again after that, as he dropped out of college shortly. I went on with my life and I didn't think about him at all, until 10 years later. Scanning Facebook one day, I became curious and I looked him up. It was a move I regretted. His profile photo made me wonder if that was actually the same guy, but it was. He was 29, had gained a lot of weight, terrible complexion. His once beautiful black hair was now a greasy ponytail. He was unemployed and still living with his mother. I then viewed his profile pictures. The first was titled, "My Mommy."